yourself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
Good morning, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. Tuesday morning means I'm joined by Ross Gregory. Good morning, mate.
Morning. How's everyone?
All good, mate. Good to see you. And plenty to talk about on the Newcastle United beat this morning. I'm going to start with something a bit different because I haven't paid tribute to this guy yet on the show. And it's this man, Wright, somebody who has been a massive part of Newcastle United's current history, recent history, 38 years at the club. And he's been there all of my supporting life because, of course, my first season as a Newcastle fan was 1984, and that is when Derek joined the staff. And of course, those of you who are of a younger persuasion may not recognise him, but he is Newcastle United's, or was Newcastle United's long-serving head physiotherapist. And it's an incredible career, really, Ross, and I think it's only right we'll pay a testament to it.
Oh, absolutely, Steve. Absolutely, it's a really good way to start the show off this morning. He's been a fixture at Newcastle United. I'm the same as you. I started supporting, or my first game was '84, and he's been a permanent fixture ever since. He's had his fair share, I'm sure, of he always got his fair share of tales to tell about some of the medical incidents and exploits that have gone on behind the scenes. We as a club. We've had a number of injury crises and issues over the years, but Derek's been somebody who's just been a permanent fixture there for a long time. Some of the abiding memories for me when I was young and watching it was those kind of, if two players went down on the opposite side of the pitch, and with a head injury or whatever, and there's Derek sprinting up against the opposition physio in a bit of a race to get over to the other side. It was always good fun, always lightened proceedings up a little bit, and he's fairly sharp as well, to be fair to him, across the turf. Look, a great career. Been a fantastic servant to the football club, great loyalty, and I think the esteem that he's held in is evident by the fact that managers come in and go, owners come in and go, and everybody wants to bring in their own staff and their own people and whatever, people that they trust and people that they want to work with. But Derek's stayed as part of the team and as part of the staff throughout that, so it just shows how valued he was by various managers, various owners, various chairmen, and obviously the players and the fan base as well. 38
years has seen 32 permanent or interim managers, as well as treating hundreds of players. I mean, that is, it's quite incredible. I mean, if anybody hasn't, tapped him up yet on the journalistic beat to do a book, then I suggest they do now, Ross, because that would be just an amazing insight.
Oh, incredible! I've read Paul Ferris's books on his time at Newcastle, and he speaks very highly of Derek there. And like you say, there's going to be some tales to tell from inside the camp, whether he wants to tell them or whether he wants to, it's that kind of confidentiality as well. But even little snippets would be fantastic to hear, just his thoughts on different players and different managers and different ways of how the club operated behind the scenes, because there's not many people that I can think of who will have that insight into Newcastle United over a period of time as long as what Derek's had.
We will be having Paul Ferris on the show. I bumped into him actually on one of my quayside walks last week. We had a great chat, and we're talking about his his writing career as well as what's going on at Newcastle United. And he's going to ping us a copy of his second book, the one that I haven't read. I've read The Boy in the Shed, of course, but I haven't read the second book, and I'm going to get him on. So looking forward to having Paul on the show over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, fantastic career, Derek. I did drop him a text as well, just to pass on my best to him, which he duly replied to. And just great to hear from the guy. And he kindly came along and was physio at one of the Legends games that we did at Kingston Park. It was the Alan Shearer game where we managed to raise 54 grand for Alan's charity with that particular game. So it was great to connect with him, on a professional basis as well, from my perspective. But as a fan, just thankful that we had one of the best, and somebody, of course, who went on to be an England star as well. He was didn't just represent Newcastle United, but also represented his country.
No, absolutely. Great, great servant.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, let's get this out of the way, Ross. We've been speaking about it for long enough. We finally got him. We don't have to put up a superimposed strip on top of Sven Botman anymore. He's finally our player. How delighted were you, Ross, about that news?
I think it's what pleased me about it was that Newcastle have identified a player. They have identified a asking price in a fee that they're willing to pay, and they've not really deviated from that too much. There's always the case that negotiations can be tricky around transfers. I've said this, I think, every time I've been on this show with you, Steve, that transfers are complicated businesses. It's not just a case of coming in with a suitcase of cash and plonking it on a desk and going, right, there we go, that deal done. The negotiations can be fraught, and they can be complicated, and they can be long drawn out as well. But what pleased me with this one is that Sven Botman is somebody that the recruitment team have identified very, very early in the process, a long time back. They've tracked him, they've monitored him. He's someone that everybody's bought into in terms of wanting to sign, whether it's not just the recruitment team, but Eddie Howe and the kind of the directors and owners. The deal's been right for everybody, but they've held firm because obviously there was a lot of stuff going on in the background with Lille and with Milan and everything else around it. Newcastle have stuck to their guns. They've not gone, not entered into a kind of a bidding war. They've held firm and eventually got the man. I mean, I've said before, I've not watched him too often in terms of he's how often he's played at Lille or with the Holland team. I've not seen too much of him, so I can't really comment on what he's like as a player or what kind of attributes he's going to bring. Too much. He's obviously a big lad and highly thought of, and potentially left-sided as well, which is a bonus. But for me, just to get that deal, that big deal, with in the face of a lot of competition, Milan's a monster club, huge club with great tradition and great history and a massive profile. So to be able to pip a club like them to his services, I think is just a real feather in the cap for Newcastle, and shows that the club really mean business on the transfer front. And now that's 3 deals in before the end of June. There was a little bit of twitchiness. We're getting a little bit panicky and a little bit nervy earlier on, or some people were, and when deals weren't quite going through. Three really good signings in before June's out. Before the players are back for pre-season. That's great business so far. So yeah, delighted that the deal's done and we can put that one to bed and move on to the next.
I think ultimately it's that Stockholm syndrome that Mitch has referred to on many occasions on the show, though, Ross. It's you've got to get used to it. I think by the time we get to next summer's transfer window, Newcastle fans will probably be a little bit more chilled. But I genuinely think ultimately at this moment in time, people are still very, very nervous that we may not go into a season with what we all believe we should have. There's also that almost getting to know you period, I guess, with the new owners, in the sense that we've been described on many occasions as the richest team in the world. So I think some Newcastle fans feel it's a little strange that we seem to get maybe he's outbid on players, or we don't seem to spend the money as freely. But I think what those supporters forget is that when we've got professionals in charge of the club now, and if you do go and overpay for a particular player, then the likelihood is that you're going to get your pants pulled down, for want of a better expression, by other clubs moving forward. So Newcastle, in the acquisition of Dan Ashworth, have brought in somebody who, let's all face it, knows what he's doing a lot more than we do in the world of transfers, and we just got to let them get on with it.
Yeah, you're right. These people are experts. These people are professionals. They know what they want. The interest. You look at the kind of the Steve Nixon role in all this. So he's obviously very, very key in the recruitment side of things. He's identified Sven Botman or his team of scouts have, and they've stuck to the guns that he's the right person for the job, right person for Newcastle to bring in, is to boost that kind of central defensive area. Dan Ashworth coming in, I think, is I've said before, is a huge bonus for the club. He's obviously highly talented, highly regarded, and knows his stuff. His remit isn't just going to be transfers; it's going to be wider than that. But in the immediate term, being able to close deals out, be able to negotiate and get the right players in at the right prices is absolutely fantastic. There's grown-ups in charge of the club now, Steve. There's football grown-ups in charge of the club. It's not Mickey Mouse. It's not a case of just people who have a certain skill set. We've got proper people in key positions, and that's only going to get better as well. So yeah, look, it's been a good start to the transfer window. I think there's more to come. Hopefully more excitement to come as we go through the next couple of months. But as a start that's been made, you can't fault it, I don't think.
Yeah, on transfers as well. I mean, obviously Eriksen was the breaking news story yesterday that it looks as if he's chosen to go to Manchester United. I mean, attacking midfield, centre midfield, probably not a priority, Ross. A winger, I would say, and a goal scorer is probably where Newcastle are looking next. But yeah, look, it was a nice thought while it lasted. But you can understand why Eriksen probably chose Old Trafford, especially with the fact that the new manager had given him an opportunity to relaunch his career after his problems with his heart.
Yeah, and you wish him all the best, don't you? I don't think anybody wishes anything but has anything but goodwill towards Christian Eriksen after what he's been through. He proved himself at Brentford in the second half of the season, proved that he's still a classy operator. I would have loved to have seen him at St James's, and I thought at one point that there was a kind of outside chance as well. But again, it comes back to what we've said previously, is that Newcastle are in a certain place in their journey, for want of a better phrase, under the new ownership. Other clubs are a lot more established. Other clubs are still got that higher profile, still got more to offer in terms of European football, more to offer in terms of the financial rewards on offer as well to players. So I'm not saying that's why Christian Eriksen's gone to Man United. I don't think he's gone for money if he does sign there. I think it's because he wants to be playing in Europe, and he's got a chance to go to a big where at one point it looked like his career was potentially over. So good luck to him. Would have been nice to have seen him at St James's, but yeah, I think like you, that forwards and wide attacking players are the kind of the key focus for Newcastle now moving forward.
Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, we do wish him all the best, and hope that his health remains as healthy as it has been at Brentford. Diaby is causing a lot of interest, Ross, amongst Newcastle fans. The Chronicle have done a good piece on this as well. It's warming up, I would say, is probably the way to describe that current deal. It's simmering away nicely. We've seen mixed reports. It it would look as if we've only just started making tentative inquiries and perhaps discussions have started. But again, Newcastle under Dan Ashworth seem to be, keeping things very, very, very close to their chest. So a lot of it is simply newspaper speculation. But this one certainly got Newcastle United fans' pulses racing.
Yeah, and I think this one's got legs. I think it's one to watch. Probably nothing going to happen, particularly soon, from what I've heard and my understanding of the situation at the minute. But it's one to keep an eye on. He's somebody that the club do like. That again, go back to the recruitment team and the scouting team. He's been watched. He's been watched on numerous occasions, and he's somebody that they do like. They have identified as a player that they feel could add value to Eddie Howe's first team. I think the issue with him will be at the minute will probably be the cost, the price. If Bayer looking at 60 million, which is what some of the reports have suggested that they are, that's too rich for Newcastle. That's out of Newcastle's budget as things stand. But it's one to watch. I do think that there will be. It would be one that Newcastle will just monitor, like you say, bubble under the surface a little bit, and possibly revisit later on in the transfer window if the opportunity arises.
Yeah, and I guess as well, I think a lot of us looking at the way that Newcastle finished the season, and just looking at that, the winger situation. I mean, and people who can play wide. You've got the likes of ASM. You've got Almiron. You've got Ryan Fraser. And that's just to name three. You've got other players, fullbacks who can play good wing backs as well. You know what I mean? And look, we're not struggling in that area either. And likewise with the centre forward or goal scoring situation, you're looking at that and you think, actually, if we're going to play the hardball game and wait until we get the right player at the right time for the right money, then with the right attitude, going into the start of the season, potentially with Callum Wilson as your only out-and-out goal scorer might not be a bad thing as long as he doesn't get injured. But ultimately, there's a lot to consider, I think, and that's the way Newcastle are doing business.
There is the squads, in terms of numbers, actual numbers. It's there's a lot of bodies in there who can play in a lot of different positions. They're not short of options in them attacking areas. ASM, Almiron, Murphy, Ryan Fraser, is it kind of your wide options at the minute? Joe Linton can he do a job on one or both sides, and then you've got, like you say, Wilson and Chris Wood through the middle. There's a lot of options there and a lot of decent options. For me, it just still lacks that little bit of quality, that little bit of extra magic, extra ability, extra quality that'll take you into the top 6, top 7, top 8, or certainly on a consistent basis. So I think Eddie Howe does want and recognise the need to add more goals and more quality in that final third. But there's a long way to go still. We're still 2 months until the window closes. There's going to be lots of dealings and negotiations. They've got to look to ship a couple out, or more than a couple out, to free up some space in the squad, to free up a little bit of budget as well. So that's going to be have to be taken into consideration. It's going to be a focus over the next couple of months as well. But I do expect to bring in at least one attacking player, if not two, before September the 1st over.
Yeah, it's one to watch. Gabriel Barbosa also gets a mention in the Chronicle Online. Well worth having a look at that article. Lots of talk about him enduring a torrid time in European football with Inter Milan, and then he's moved to Benfica, where he scored just twice in 15 appearances. But yeah, he seemed to have lost the golden touch, but he scored a remarkable 123 goals since joining Flamengo in 2019. So again, it's another player potentially on the radar for Newcastle United. I know he's keen to get back into European football and playing in European games, and Newcastle can't offer that. But again, it's another big name link, and it's just exciting to be linked with these kind of players, Ross.
It is. This is a really interesting link and quite an exciting one. It's that it's a little bit more unknown than some of the others. You know, it's a Brazilian striker who's banging the goals in over in Brazil, and what could he offer if he came to the Premier League? I know there was a lot of talk of bringing him in on loan in January with an option to buy for, I think it was around 17, 18 million. If the loan had been a success, that never came off. I'm not sure with this one how much of it is being kind of agent driven as to, or how much interest there is from Newcastle in the player, or if he's just someone who's been offered to them, but it's a bit further down that pecking list at the minute. But again, a really exciting one, and one to keep an eye on. I'm sure there'll be some developments on that one further into the transfer window as well. It could be a good, exciting backup. You know, we've had Brazilian strikers at Newcastle. You know, Mirandinha coming over, the first Brazilian to play in England in English football. Set the you know the crowd alight with when he came in. I remember the days of Mirandinha and the excitement that's brought. And obviously now we've got a strong Brazilian flavour again at St James's with Joelinton and Bruno. So yeah, it's an interesting one, that one. I'm not sure what he's like. I'm not sure how good he is. He's obviously had a difficult spell in Europe the last time he came over, but he's reignited his career. So it could be a one to watch again.
Yeah, well, as I say, there's plenty rumours, plenty stories flying around at the moment, and like you said right at the top of the programme, you know, we've done some business early. You know, when do we ever have three, not just three, you know, potential squad players, but three potential first team starters in the squad before we've even started? You know, that's the big difference with this window. And I think the other thing, which again, I read this in the Chronicle yesterday, was the way that the players are responding to training. There's been a change, you know, compared to last season when, you know, the publicity came out, especially from people like Callum Wilson a little bit later on, about the lack of training, the lack of fitness that the players had at the start of the season. But the players so far have been doing, you know, they've been doing double sessions.
Yeah, it's a whole different feel to the club at the minute, isn't it? It's a whole different, you know, it's a year's a long time in football. You go back to last pre-season and there was a lot of doom and gloom around the fan base in terms of the manager, but also the ownership, the stalling of the takeover. You know, players, you know, you could see, you know, you don't have to be a football expert to be able to see when players aren't quite happy with something or aren't quite at full fitness or as fit as what they can be. It's very evident on a pitch. You could see Newcastle at times, second half of games, you know, the legs just going, they're not looking like they could finish a game off as strongly as what they can. Pre-season's a massive time for football clubs in terms of getting the fitness right for players, working on things, getting that bank of fitness in so that they can just keep it ticking over as the season goes by. Most players now are very, very professional, and during the off season they'll be doing. They'll have their own little fitness regimes to keep them over. It's very rare now that you find players who go away at the end of a season and come back in poor shape, or, you know, a couple of stone heavier than what they went away with. There's obviously the odd exception, as we've seen at various clubs, but, you know, they do keep themselves ticking over. But Eddie Howe's obviously very, very keen on very, very organised and meticulous when it comes to his training sessions. So I can imagine he's working them really hard this pre-season.
Yeah, which is great. This is what you want to hear. You know, the players want to be fit as well, which is very important. Another line I saw this week, discussed it last night on the transfer show, was Callum Wilson, the club in negotiations about giving him a new contract. That's a positive sign. I mean, there's also a bit that Joe brought up on the show last night about him relocating to the northeast full time. I mean, I was unaware of the fact that he was spending a lot of time travelling backwards and forwards to where he lives, whereas now he's moving to Tyneside, which is only positive, Ross. Yeah,
look, I think you want all your players to be 100% committed to the club, but not just the region. Yeah, you want to appreciate though, that it's difficult for players are no different to you or in wherever it is. If I got offered a job in London or in Ireland or in Wales or whatever, you've got to weigh up the considerations. Would I could go in stuff like days a week there, but would my family want to move down? Would you want to disrupt them? Would you want to take the kids out of the schools or away from the friends? And the same with your partner or your wife or whatever. So you've got to weigh up. All players are no different. So you do see a lot of players who do come up by themselves and kind of split that time as much as what they possibly can between where they're playing their football and where their home life is. For me, it doesn't always. It's not always conducive to a settled football career. I don't think if you're not happy in your home life or you haven't got your family support or your network around you, then it can be quite difficult and unsettling. But yeah, if Callum Wilson is committing and moving up, permanently in full time, and he's in looking for a new contract, I think it's great. We all want a fit and healthy and informed Callum Wilson at Newcastle for the next 2, 3, 4 seasons, I think, because when he is fit and on form, he's as good as any striker in the Premier League outside, I think, of the kind of the top 6.
Definitely. I want to point to this young guy as well, Jordan Hackett, just another youngster that has arrived at Newcastle, and Newcastle certainly pushing the buttons for bringing the best of the young talent in. And the quote that I read out last night on the show was, he says, "When I was here on trial for the week, I really enjoyed it. The lads have made me feel welcome from the first day I stepped into the building. It was a hard decision to move away from London. My mum didn't like it, but you have to do what you have to do to make a career in the game. And I think this is the best decision for myself. I like Eddie Howe. He's a good manager who knows what he's doing, and he likes younger players. He was a big factor in joining the club, because if I do well, he'll take a look at me or think about using me." Now, that's amazing to hear, the kind of praise heaped on Eddie Howe by a youngster and somebody who is in London, and it is difficult. He points that out. His mum didn't want him to move. But this is a great little side story to the big players we're coming in, that we're now bringing in youth. We're not letting youth go. We're bringing in the best. We're nurturing stuff, and it's all very early days. But just reading that quote gave me a bit of a buzz as well.
I read it as well, Stephen. I thought exactly the same as you. I thought it was a really interesting little snippet to take away from that particular story. Great that Eddie Howe's looking and taking care and taking consideration into the young players, into the youth teams, into the academy structure, into the under 23s, and he's wanting to have that buy-in and that link in with those as well. He's not just seeing his role as being purely looking after the first team. I think for me it's been really interesting looking at how the academy is looking to bring players in as well. There's been a real focus on that, which doesn't always get sometimes the kind of spotlight, the headlines, because during the transfer season it's all about Newcastle's strikers and first team and who they're bringing in and who they're being linked with. But underneath, improving that academy side, improving the academy setup, the under 23s below the first team, is still really, really important. If you can bring through and develop a couple of players every couple of years, then it just creates a healthier, stronger club, more competition. It benefits you on a resource level, benefits you financially. But you want to have the best players and the best coaches possible all the way through that academy setup, so that they can give and provide for the first team the best possible pathway and best possible route into it for the best young players in the region. And the fact that we're able to attract players from outside the region now is great as well. So someone like Jordan Hackett coming in from London, again, I don't know much what he's like, but the fact that he's willing to relocate from London again shows the kind of the stature of the club and the profile and some of the plans that they've got in place for the under-23s.
Yeah, exciting times for Newcastle United supporters, and long may it continue. Okay, big thank you, as always, to our sponsor, Spider Miner. Worldwide coverage from the lads, the only cryptocurrency miner that can mine 5 different cryptocurrencies at the same time, whilst using virtually no energy, and it's VPN protected. Buy yours now at www.miner.spidervpn.org. Thanks to Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 01913897245, and to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.gohd.com. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com. Thanks to ClearKai, meet the new Game Over screen, drop into a ClearRun device near you, available on Apple Store, Google Play, and ClearRun.game. Thanks to Mr. Vickies, you can contact them at www.mrvickies.co.uk or on 01768 10102. Great taste, great taste, great taste. And big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner and you can subscribe for free. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up to like the video. Click share to share to your social media. And drop into the comments box to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans or to post a message to me and Ross. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean and the rest. And you can get that usually 24 hours after the podcast on YouTube has finished. If you want to become a member, click join underneath the video and you can make a small donation. If you want to spend a little bit more and get these goodies, you can get a cup, a pen, a membership card and a scarf and entry into the monthly draw. You can do that by going to NUFCmatters.com and clicking membership, or you can put your smartphone over this QR code and it will take you straight there. If you're a subscriber on the channel, which is free, we will send you a car sticker. You just need to apply for it by emailing john@nufcmatters.com. Don't forget, we do support the food bank on this channel, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. The match day bucket is virtual. You can make a virtual donation 365 days of the year. We are also raffling off this signed Alan Shearer ball. Tickets are $2.99 a ticket, and they're limited to 99 tickets. Got a couple of more weeks to go on this, and they are lovely. Don't miss out on that. You've got to be in it to win it. Don't forget, Tyson Fury is in Gateshead this Thursday. goldstarpromotions.co.uk is the website for you to buy tickets. He's also in Sunderland on the 8th of July and Stockton on the 9th of July and Hartlepool on the 10th of July. So it's a bit of a northeast tour this week. Get your tickets from www.goldstarpromotions.co.uk. The Botman t-shirts are doing well. Make sure you get yours on NUFCmatters.com. And a big thank you to everybody who is getting involved in the Peter Beardsley Soccer School, sponsoring places for underprivileged children in the northeast to take place. I've just seen Toon Tipster getting involved in that, and he has sponsored a place as well. For more information, go to peterbeardsley.soccerschool.com. That's really starting to fly, that. So a big thank you to everybody for getting involved. Okay, let's go to some of your comments. A lot of people asking about getting rid of players. Anything on the grapevine, Ross, on players leaving? John Hackett says one of the hardest jobs will be getting players out with some of the contracts that were given out in the past. I mean, Dwight Gale springs to mind. We've also got Hendrick. I mean, fair play to him. He is keen on playing football again. He seems to want to go, which, if a deal can be done with somebody, maybe he will. But, yeah, I mean, any outgoings, any news, any rumours?
Not much at the minute. Very, very quiet on that front. I think that'll probably be the next big ask, big test for Dan Ashworth and the team. It'll be how many of these players can be offloaded. Can we find clubs for them? Can we strike deals to move them on? Obviously, two are out the door already is Isaac Hayden and Freddie Woodman. They've both left the club, so there has been some movement, but I think it's going to take a little bit more time on some of the others. There's obviously a number of issues to kind of contend with. big wages on offer. If you're on 50 grand a week, you're not going to on a 3 years left on your contract or 2 years left on your contract or whatever it is. You're not going to move anywhere with unless you're getting certain financial assurances. I know for a fact I wouldn't. So I don't blame any player for that's the contract that they're saying. That's the contract that the club are happy to offer the player. Why should they move somewhere else for half money or whatever? And that's going to be one of the problems because let's face it. Let's be honest. A lot of these players that we're talking about are probably top end Championship players. They're not quite Premier League players anymore. I don't think. Or if they are, it's kind of bottom end Premier League. So are they going to get the wages? Are they going to get the salaries that they're currently on at Newcastle? Quite possibly not. I wouldn't be surprised if there's later on in the window. I think some of these deals will go through, be possibly back end of August, and it might be loan deals with Newcastle having to subsidise part of the salaries as well. So I think with a lot of them, it'll be a case of pushing it late into the transfer window and seeing who can get offloaded then.
I mean, the likes of Dwight Gale, he's not getting a game. He's not getting an opportunity. That's the thing that has Newcastle fans scratching their heads, isn't it? Really, and Hendrick is on a hiding and nothing in as far as the midfield's concerned. So it makes sense, doesn't it? And they may have to bite the bullet and just pay these people off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll be looking at all the options. They'll be looking first. Can we find a buying club or a club who are willing to take them on loan and get them out the door that way? If not, is it a case that players' contracts will be paid up, or we can get them out on loan but pay only a fraction of the contract? I think you're right. As a professional, you want to play football. That's it's a short career for these guys. You don't get that time back. And do you want to spend it sitting on the bench picking up your money and not kicking a ball, or only playing in training during the week, and then come Saturday 3 o'clock or whatever time it is, you're not getting a sniff? Is that what you want in a short career? You would hope not. And somebody like Jeff Hendrick there, who you flashed up, he was quite happy to move, like you say, in January and go to QPR and just play football. I think we will see the majority of them moved on in some way, shape, or form. Your Hendricks, your Kieran Clarks, your Dwight Gales, your probably your Matt Ritchie, maybe as well. And possibly one or two others will find clubs in before the transfer window is over, probably later on in August potentially. But yeah, it's going to be a tricky negotiating tactic for Newcastle.
No doubt about that. Update from Craig Hope this morning. Yeah, I saw that, Mark, suggesting a site at Parklands near the racecourse. It's somewhere where I suggested as well, Mark. I said the racecourse would be a natural move for Newcastle as far as training facilities are concerned, because of the connection with the Rubens, but also because of its closeness to the city centre as well. I think somewhere like that would make sense, Ross, if that is indeed the case.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the obvious choice if we can find the land there to develop. It's a really, really strong location. It's like you say, close to the city centre, but it's bang on the A1 as well, pretty much. It's not a million miles from the airport as well. There's a lot of things going for that as a potential site. So I can certainly see why they might be considering it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that Newcastle are pushing as we speak. Geordie Tuber Life, morning lads. I see the fans of both German clubs are demonstrating against our owners and want the games postponed. Personally, I think it's pathetic. Will they use the internet to fill cars up, etc.? I mean, this Mainz friendly, and now the other, again, it's some kind of boycott against our ownership. It's just, what do you think? You've moved on from it. There's always something else that comes, isn't there, Ross? That's the problem with this situation that we have with our owner.
It is, and it's not going to go away. I don't think anytime soon. I don't think it's going to go away. There's going to be a lot of noise around the ownership, around the club on that level. Certainly for the next, I certainly think for the next couple of years, it'll die down eventually, but it'll never go away. It will never go away. I can almost guarantee that. So I think we just as people around the club, we have to recognise that and be open to it and understand what other fans and other people's opinions are. It's a really controversial and hot topic, and if we just try to brush it under the carpet or try to dismiss or kind of denigrate other people's opinions, I don't think that's the way forward. I think I think we just have to be open and say, look, there is issues that some people have with the ownership because of various different things, and that's fine. As a fan base, this is our view on it. This is as a media covering the club. This is what we think about it. But don't shut the debate down. It's all good debate. Be open and honest about it. But don't expect it to go away, because I don't think it's going to disappear anytime soon.
No, it won't, and I think you're right. You deal with it, you deal with it in that way. Well done, Toon-Man. Tickets sorted. Yeah, tickets on sale today, Ross. Queues at the ground, Chronicle Live covering it as we speak. And people in the queue on the phone, 7,000 in the queue, etc. And I think the negativity that, and I just genuinely can't believe it. I didn't see this. I do go on Twitter, but I don't spend a lot of the time. Andrew Malloy says NUFC Trust Council member wanted a boycott of the friendlies. Guess they want Mike Ashley back and try to get their 1%. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a tongue-in-cheek comment from what I can pick up. The guy was saying that the tickets were too expensive at £20 a game, and they were cheaper under Mike Ashley. But surely to God, nobody wants to go back to, Mike Ashley's days and that. And you've got to accept, 20 quid for adults, a tenner for kids. We're living in austerity. I understand that, but at the same time, the costs are also going up for the football club, and to heat. To put electric on at St James's Park, especially for a nighttime game, the floodlights, etc. Everything costs more money, and if there's going to be 52,000 people at the game as opposed to 25,000 people who were there, maybe for the friendlies under Ashley, then there are going to be more costs incurred. The boxes are going to be sold out. You're going to need more staff on the turnstiles, in the bars, at the it's you've got to be cost effective. You cannot expect Newcastle to just say, right, well, look, you can just all come to the game for free.
No, absolutely. I can see both sides of the argument. I think it would be good if tickets were at a really kind of affordable price for the friendlies. You can hopefully attract a different fan base and get some of the families in and the kids in and that sort of stuff who there's going to be a lot of fans who want to get into to watch games at St James's this season who aren't going to have that opportunity. So it would be
£20 expensive. Is £20 expensive in this day and age, Ross?
No. I mean, probably not. I went to the pictures. I went to the cinema the other week, and it was, I think I paid about 13-14 quid a ticket to watch that. So and that was an hour and a half. So you could put it on par, maybe. I don't think 20's necessarily hugely expensive, but if you I don't know I can see both sides to it. 10, 15 quid, 20 quid, I don't think it's worth grumbling about. I don't think it's worth protesting about or boycotting over or anything. It is what it is. That's the price. If you want to pay it, pay it. If you don't want to pay it, don't pay it. It's
and like £35 for the two games.
Yeah,
so they're giving you $5 off if you're going to go to both games.
Yeah, like I say, I don't think it's worth grumbling over. I can certainly say, you can make an argument for either case. You can say let's have it at 10, 15 quid. But you're right, the costs are different as well. Look, it is what it is. It's a bit of a nonsense argument. For me, it's not worth getting wound up about. If you want to pay the money, pay it. If you don't bother. Simple as that.
Chelsea's cheapest ticket is £50. Is that for a friendly for Zal? Because if it is, then that's crazy as well. But £50 for a friendly, you'd have a right to complain, I think. But Atlanta, not the biggest of opposition. I've got to be honest. It'll be an attractive friendly. There's no doubt about that. But I think. I just genuinely think that the two teams that were playing, Athletic Club as well. I mean, it'll be two good friendlies, and I think you get the bargain. And I think as well, like I say, costs aren't dropping for the football club either. You know what I mean? And it's got to be cost effective. And whether people like it or not, Ross, football is a business.
It is. Well, I do kind of sympathise with fans at times around ticket prices. I really do. I think we are in difficult times, and a lot of we're seeing that without trying to get into the politics and everything, that we're seeing an incredible amount of people, more people now, even people on decent salaries and decent jobs who are having to rely on food banks and rely on kind of support in different ways, much more than what we've seen previously. So it is difficult times for people. When it comes to tickets, I do think that is a percentage of the cost, the percentage of the revenue that clubs make. The revenue that comes in to clubs is from its commercial activity, but mainly from its TV revenue and transfer fees and all that sort of stuff. We've seen good examples of clubs in Germany who are offering really, really discounted prices on their tickets for fans. I would love to see that model introduced somehow. Football, I think there's been a lot of good work done already with the away tickets, with the 20s plenty kind of movement. I think that's really, really, really good to see, and we should be trying to cap tickets for fans, for the ordinary fans who are who just want to go to the games. I don't think we're quite there yet as a culture, as a society, as English football should be. With ticket prices, I think there's still some work to be done, and I would love to see Newcastle lead that. With the finances that Newcastle now have at their disposal, it would be great to see them take a real lead on that. But I think it's a longer term project, and something that isn't going to necessarily be resolved anytime soon.
No, definitely not. Andrew, who asked the question, says pre-season games gives non-season ticket supporters a chance to go to games at knockdown prices. People asking us who the tweet was. It's John. Look, and he's a council member. He's entitled to his opinion, probably an unpopular opinion, which he accepts when he tweets it. But I'd advocate a boycott of the friendlies whilst they're £20 ahead. If we sell out, it sends completely the wrong message. £10 is plenty for those games. That's his opinion. At the end of the day, he's entitled to it. But Ross said there, if you don't want to pay, then don't go. It's as simple as that. And I think probably John regrets putting that out. I know we've all done it on social media. We've all done things on social media where you probably regret putting something out there. And I believe he's either taking it away or whatever. But I just, look, I understand why people are going mad about it as well. It's given the opportunity as well, I think, for people, as you say, to go to these games and, see the team. Some of these people, Ross, who go to the game won't have the opportunity of going to a Premier League game this season.
Absolutely. Look, and you're seeing the queues, and you're seeing how many people are on the website trying to get tickets for these games. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's two pre-season games where, let's be honest, pre-season games are awful at times. They're really, really poor. Some of them they can be played at a good intensity for maybe 50, 55 minutes. Then a million substitutions are made, and it loses its appeal. They're not really great spectacles to watch all the time, but the fact that many people are trying to buy tickets shows the buzz around the club at the minute, shows the kind of feel good factor around the club, but also shows, like you say, the demand, because we saw what happened when them extra season tickets went on sale. That the demand is far outstripping the availability. So great opportunity for fans to come and watch games. Great that we've got two kind of decent games on at St James's back to back. Excuse me. And yeah, it would be great to see the ground filled. But it does show, we come back to this with St. James's Park and the capacity. It just does show at the minute the dilemma and the problems that the ownership are going to face as to whether they need to extend the ground, whether they need to move elsewhere. How can we try to make it so that more fans can get into to watch the games?
Going to ask you about the captaincy now, Ross. Got 10 minutes left. Trippier has been probably most people's, shoe-in, I think. But Lascelles is still at the club. If Lascelles stays, do you think Eddie Howe would upset the balance in the dressing room and give it a Trippier, or do you think he would leave it as it is for now?
It's a really interesting question, that one, Steve. I think Lascelles will still be at the club come the start of the season. So I wouldn't be surprised if he retains the captaincy in a possibly a club captain kind of role, where he's the club captain. But then, is he going to play much? Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be? How much is he going to be actually on that pitch? It may be that Lascelles is the club captain and he skippers the team when he plays. But there's another captain, a team captain, if you like, who is probably Kieran Trippier is the obvious example, obvious candidate. Sorry, I think as well is what you bang on in terms of the dressing room dynamic. What message does it send out? How does it upset the mood and the atmosphere if you're taking away the captaincy from a figure who might have a lot of friends and be highly respected within that change room? What kind of message does it send out? So it's not just about who's the best player, who's the best leader. It's wider ranging than that. And for people might criticise at times Jamal Lascelles for his ability on the pitch, and whether he's not necessarily criticised, but query whether he's going to be the right person to lead that defence moving forward for the club. Let's be honest, he probably isn't. He's not probably going to play that much. I would find it difficult to criticise him as a captain, as somebody who's led the changing room, led the dressing room, trying to pull players together, deal with some very, very uncomfortable and difficult situations over the last 4 or 5 seasons under previous management and previous ownership as well. So it would be a difficult one just to fully strip it from him. So maybe a joint role, a club captain and a team captain might be the way forward.
Stephen Armstrong says if it was badged as a pre-season tournament, people would blink an eye at £20. Good point. It is 50 quid for a ticket at a friendly, says Fazal. Thanks for that, mate. Keith says you can get pie and chips at Chelsea for £15 in a van. It is all about the money, Keith. I do agree. And Toonman says Newcastle can't win. Complain, not saying expensive players and tickets too expensive. What do you expect? They will complain because they can't get a home ticket. Yeah, Toonman, there's always going to be somebody upset. I think that's the problem. Getting back on to potential acquisitions. Lingard's raised his head again. Also heard Newcastle being linked again with Calvert-Lewin, 2 players who, of course, can score goals in the Premier League, Ross. Let's start with Lingard first. And, of course, there was hope in January that Lingard would be pulling on a black and white shirt for the back end of last season. It didn't come to fruition. And obviously, rumours and suggestions Man United would be unwilling to do business with Newcastle because of the threat that they pose to, their position in the top 6. But Lingard, is that one that you might, you might see, develop further? Is it one, if he doesn't get a move, over the coming weeks, that he may have to look at dropping his wage demands or his alleged wage demands, and then maybe Newcastle would be in the hunt?
Yeah, I don't think that one is dead in the water. I think there's still, possibly some movement on that. I don't think it's right at the top of the priority list at the minute, but it's one where they will kind of just. Obviously, they were keen to sign him in January, and like you say, it didn't happen for whatever reason. He's a free agent now. can sell for whoever he wants. He's not beholden to Man United as to them dictating where he goes. I think so. You know, they will have had conversations, and I've been told they have had conversations with Lingard's representatives since the season ended, and he's obviously become a free agent. But it's one where you would have to you're right. He would just have to drop his wage plans if he wanted to move to St. James. I don't think they're not prepared to unsettle the rest of the squad. Not prepared to break the wage structure for Jesse Lingard. Now they might do it for another player at some point, but I don't think they're prepared to do it at this point in the journey for someone like for Jesse Lingard. So he could quite conceivably end up at Newcastle. He could quite conceivably end up at a half a dozen clubs, though, to be honest. So he's probably keeping his options open, and Newcastle will keep an eye on that situation and see how it develops over the next few weeks.
Yeah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's got a feel that it could go to the final week. I'm not saying he's going to come in Newcastle. I just think that because of Everton's financial situation, I think that one could run and run. And the paper talk yesterday was 60-70 million price tag on Calvert-Lewin's head. But I just genuinely feel that one could go, it could go to deadline day.
It could. You know, again, he's a player that they've spoken about, and they've had various probably little discussions with people close to him and his representatives and whatnot. He's somebody that they are interested, they do like, but that price tag again is prohibitive. It's not something that at this minute in time Newcastle can afford or prepared to go for. Whether that price tag comes down closer to the transfer deadline, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, you know, like you say, Everton's financial situation's fairly well documented. They've got 50-60 million in the bank from the Richarlison sale, so that's gonna help them. So yeah, look, Calvert-Lewin is a player that they like, player that they've talked about, but at the minute it's probably too much for Newcastle. The interesting thing with Calvert-Lewin or price tags as well, though, you look at some of the money that's been spent on players, and Gabriel Jesus, who's just gone from Man City to Arsenal, you know, a 3 times, 4 times, you know, Premier League winner, League Cup winner, etc. You know, still only 25, something like that. He's gone for 45 million. Now, how good is Jesus? I think he's pretty. Is he better than Calvert-Lewin? If he's going for 45 million and they're putting a price tag on Calvert-Lewin of 60-70 million, is that right? I'm not sure. I think Arsenal got a decent bit of business there for 45 million for Jesus. They're talking about selling Man City. You're talking about selling Sterling for 45 million. 45 million for Sterling's a snip. Who would you rather have, Sterling or Calvert-Lewin? Now I know which one I would rather have. I like Calvert-Lewin, but I think Sterling is an infinitely better player. So it's interesting when you look at some of the prices that are being quoted, and you wonder how much of it is down to that kind of Newcastle United tax that we've talked about previously.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the point we've made all the way through the show, isn't it? That ultimately Newcastle are doing it their way, and that's not a bad thing at all, Ross. Because ultimately, you know, we want to make sure that we don't set a precedent for future deals. And if we can get through this summer and do our business well, which so far so good we have, then it will lead well for the future and future windows with Newcastle. And we're setting the precedent for maybe the transfer window, not just for us but for other people.
Yeah. Look, you've got to draw a line in the sand at some point and say, look, this is what we think's right. This is what we value this player at. This is where we're prepared to go to. If you're not prepared to, if that's something that you're not prepared to accept, then fine, we'll move on. And you can't be held to ransom. Transfer fees are ridiculous. They are. There's a lot of crazy money being spent. But for Newcastle, you can only do what you think is right and set your stall out, set your terms out, and live by your principles, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we'll finish off today's programme by saying happy birthday to this man, a Toon legend. The old Spider-Man mask didn't get worn very often, but when it did, it was for important goals and important reasons. And yeah, a good player, a good servant, Ross.
Oh, absolute legend. Absolute legend. Yeah. Great to see him. Great to see him have, you know, that goal that kept Newcastle up and coming back from his health issues and everything else like that. A real kind of 100%er, you know, again, sometimes frustrated with these players, but 100% are really committed to the club and a very good player and a great bloke as well.
Yeah, great stuff. Ross, as always, thanks for joining us, mate. We will see you next week. Have a good week, mate.
Cheers, Steve. Thanks very much, everyone.